pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Should be business as usual. Any amendments to our agenda tonight? I believe Scott has one.
Yep, just like to add on there the letter Q to approve the hire of Bruce Copeman again this year for industrial arts. It's a part-time position, 8 to noon. Oh, I can tell you about that later, sorry.
Anybody else have anything else they would like to add to tonight's agenda? All right, do I have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Support. Motion and support to accept tonight's agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. At this time, it is time for public comment. Seeing none, I think we will probably just move on. Routine matters, we have to approve our minutes from the previous meeting. Now that I think about it, don't we have to approve the minutes of, you brought it up last time, Ken?
There was one of May 4,
Yes.
and there actually were 2 versions of that went out, so we want to make sure we get the right one. She sent out a correction,
Oh, that's
Later.
right, yep.
so it's May 4, and then I think May 9 was the regular one?
May 9 was the regular one, yep.
Yeah.
And May 4 was our training.
Yeah.
I guess maybe we can make that a note of that and put that on
Yep,
July.
sorry about that.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that too.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes for May 4 and the May 9 meetings?
We can do that, right?
Do you want to do May 4 and May 9 tonight?
Which is as well.
Yeah, she corrected them, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a very minor thing, it had to do with a motion at the end, or,
Okay,
as long as that one ends up being the permanent record, we're good.
okay. So yeah, tonight we will approve the minutes of our special meeting on May 4 and our regular meeting on May 9. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I mean, okay.
I'll support Ken's motion. How about that? I'll support
Doesn't
Ken's
matter.
motion. There we go.
Support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report.
Yep, sorry, I'm getting there. I was looking at something else. And our board packets have gotten quite large, it seems like lately.
Yeah.
So beginning balance on May 1st, 2022, we had $1,228,951.45. Ending on May 31st, our total general fund balance was $1,340,481.94. And school nutrition, food service there at the beginning of May, we had $499,339.39. At the end of May, we had a balance of $546,563.23. We still have monies to come out of there with payroll and food costs and stuff like
Okay.
that.
Okay, any further questions for treasurer?
So we heard for sure the kids are gonna have to pay for food again, or?
It sounds that way,
Okay.
and we've kind of worked with the pricing tool. We don't have a set price
Okay.
right yet, so we'll look at that again in July.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Motion and support to accept our treasurer's report. Is there any more questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? consider general fund invoices for payment. Matt.
I would like to make a motion to pay from the general fund checks 16447 through 16501 and check 73444 through 73540 for $634,111.32. And from food services, checks 161345 through 161379 for $35,439.32.
We have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
Motion and support. Is there any further discussion on our invoices? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Reports and communications, board president, I don't have a lot other than a few minor hiccups through the year, but I thought it was a really good year for everything involved. And one side note that I mentioned to Scott the other day, that I noticed our outside grounds crew has been mowing the ditch out there by the auditorium, and that just looks so much nicer, and
Looks
I
nice.
just appreciate that so much. I know it's a crappy job for
Yeah.
whoever doing it, but
And from my understanding, Lars Fredine's been helping out with that too.
Looks
Oh,
nice.
His class, yeah.
it was
Tough area.
nice they got it done before graduation, and I
Yeah.
see they did it again too, so I just appreciate that a lot.
So will we lose our flowers and stuff with the water project, or?
I mean, I think that's something, we shouldn't this year, no,
Oh, okay.
but it's something that we probably wanna discuss for the years coming. With them redoing 66, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna be doing some stuff with curbs, making our crosswalk handicap accessible and different things like that. And if we're going to end up doing away with the flowers, that would be the time to do that. I know a lot of those railroad ties are getting kind of bad too.
I think the city's kind of abandoned them, so,
Sounds like
and they're
they're kind of
they're
done.
deteriorating definitely.
Yeah. So I think that would be the time to regrade it back and do that.
Yeah,
I think they look really nice. I like the flowers.
Oh, I do too.
There won't be much curbing work done other than at our crosswalk.
Is that
but
right? Okay.
It's right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not gonna spend any more money than they have to, so.
I'd like to see the city return to doing it, but I know that's an issue too. There's always needs people.
It's an added expense and labor. and-
Yeah, labor, yeah.
But I think it looks really nice.
Yeah. That's all I had. Superintendent?
Any questions on our report?
I had a question, top of the page too, about the student behavior situation and stuff being brought in. What's our obligation to pursue that further? I mean, obviously, some illegal substances coming from somewhere. I mean, how do we approach that? I mean,
So we hand it over to law enforcement.
okay, so they're brought into the picture.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
We handle it on our end and law enforcement's called in,
Okay.
for that. We just talked today about, at our superintendent's meeting, about getting a presentation from some of these, I know it's gonna sound odd, but from some of the marijuana stores, and showing us kind of what's there, what to look for.
Right, so it
I
recognizes.
mean, they don't want kids to have this stuff either,
No.
you know, and
No.
I think that would be a good public service for them to do for schools. So, I mean, what we think of as marijuana and other drugs isn't the same when we were growing up, or, you know, so.
Now it's cookies and candy and
And gummies.
No,
brownies, yeah.
no, but that's handed over to law enforcement. Any other questions? We did interview for middle school principals today. We had two good, positive interviews. So we'll continue working with that. We did launch an athletic boosters as well. I know that was one of the things that was kind of charged with this year. Kind of had a rough go of getting it going, but we do have officers in place for the boosters. We met last night to kind of regroup. We're kind of keeping it small right now so we can get our focus and mission and stuff. Talked to Sean today about reaching out to his coaches, varsity coaches, their programs to see what things they would need or desire, and kind of create a priority list where we can start targeting specific things, and then once those are accomplished, we can move down the list, rather than the whole gamut of, we need to start small and then build off of that success.
So is this a school activity? I mean, is it within our,
It'll be a nonprofit, like a 501c3.
okay, so it's not within our school accounting system or anything like that?
Nope.
Do they have any, what do I say, have they adopted any guidelines? I mean, what's their goal?
Yep, that's what they're working on now.
Okay.
Yep.
I think it's important that we understand what they are.
It'd be similar to our PTO, right?
Okay,
But with the focus of towards athletics and
Yeah.
promoting.
So it was sports only.
but we have to make sure their goals and stuff are consistent with
Yeah.
the school's priorities and,
And so part of the process will be including Mr. Mulder with
Yeah.
everything, with purchases and different things, so.
I've heard horror stories about some athletic boosters. It kind of becomes a push and match between the school and them, and
No, we don't want that for sure.
no, it's, as long as we understand what everybody's role is and how priorities are set and
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
They're hoping to have their draft policies at the next meeting,
Okay.
in July.
We want to make sure that what they do falls in line with our goals too, and
For sure.
I'm sure they understand that.
Yep. Very much so.
Do they have anything that'll make sure they're giving to each of the sports?
So that'd be one of the things too, right, is the coaches, it's not my boosters club, so I don't want to speak for them, but what I would envision is they would have to apply, the coaches would have to apply for things, go through Sean. Sean would have to approve, like, yes, this is a need, or this is a want, or, and then he would be the one kind of determining, making sure that female sports and male sports are getting similar or different things like that. So cross country's not getting neglected, track's not getting neglected.
Are
So it's
you,
exciting.
are you gonna do second round for middle school, or are you gonna decide from your first two?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
And who's doing, is it just you interviewing, Scott, or?
No, we had a panel today of myself, the admin team, two teachers, middle school teachers, and then Mrs. Kennedy and Mrs. Zeiderbean work in the middle school office.
Has this been publicly posted or just
Yeah.
internally?
Yeah.
Was, okay, 'cause I
Yeah,
didn't see it,
publicly.
okay. Can I ask if they're internal or external?
Pardon me?
Can I ask if they're internal or external?
External.
External, both, okay.
I'd rather not say their names as
Oh, no,
That's
that's,
fine.
no, absolutely not.
it's their right to tell their employers rather than random review.
Very
No, that's
true.
good. So what's the goal as far as having the position?
I would like to have a nomination to the board by the June 27th special board
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
So they're able to start right away.
So do you think we've attracted some good candidates?
Yes, we have.
Good.
Any other questions? Like I said, I know I'll go give more information as we as we go through the action items.
Okay, I guess no more questions for superintendent. We'll move on to our principals. I guess I'll leave it up to you guys to.
I'll go first. Go ahead.
Who wants to start?
He just got off a plane. Well, I sent out my board report a couple weeks ago, or just last week, and the big thing is that I'm really excited to say that our schedule is complete. That was one of the things that really went wrong for me when I started my job, is that the schedule, for a variety of reasons, just wasn't where it needed to be, and there was a lot of incomplete information, and it caused a cascading dominoes falling of a lot of frustration for the staff. And I want to make absolutely sure that whoever Scott hires doesn't have the same problem. And so I've been working with the staff collaboratively, with Ryan, Andrea, everybody, to make sure that every little I is dotted and T is crossed. I'm proud to say that we've got, our master schedule is done for middle school and also high school too, I believe.
Great.
And we're to the point now where we not only have the schedule, everyone knows what they're doing, but we've got kids put in there. And there have been some significant improvements over the last, I don't know how long, you've been here longer than I have, but kids have gotten classes like PE pretty much randomly, unless they have band or choir, that just whatever elective needs to be filled and wherever, it just happens by chance. And I think that we can do better than that, because we know that athletic activity helps kids perform better, not only athletically, but also in the classrooms. So we've now made it that every student in McBain is going to have at least one semester of PE every year of middle school. And I'm really proud of that we've worked together to do that. The only exceptions are kids who are taking band and choir, and a lot of those, and there's only a handful of them, they are usually also involved in other extracurriculars. So that's their choice if they want to substitute band or choir for their gym class. In addition to that, we're also trying some other new things where we're doing quarter flips instead of semester flips, which allows the kids to not do like a 10-week micro class on a topic and then switch. And we've got some teachers who are really excited to try that. I think that changing it up will keep the content fresh, keep the kids moving. And also, I'm really excited that Jill Bronkema is now going to go full-time and do a 6th grade technology class. This is similar to something I did in Kingsley back in the day, is that we wanted to make a foundation at the beginning of middle school that we can use to build on all of the other classes, making sure that they're fluent at typing, Google Docs, all of the technologies that they'll use for the rest of middle school, going into high school and beyond. We want to start that in the 6th grade. So every student will get their technology class for a full year. And so and then they'll also get PE. So it's kind of cool that we're able to make that happen. Teacher evaluations are done with Scott's help and revising some revisions to how we use data. We did have a number of teachers get highly effective. That was really exciting. That was some frustration for staff to be able to feel like they're being recognized for the good work that they're doing. So I was really proud of that. And then also, and I put this in there, I just really wanted to give a heartfelt thank you to each one of you guys for the opportunity to be your middle school leader this year. This has been a challenging year for me personally. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard through the grapevine. A lot of changes took place that I wasn't looking for. But I wanted to also publicly recognize and thank Scott Aiken for being such a good and compassionate boss. I had to tell him the first time I met him, which is almost a year ago, in his office, he had just offered me the job and said, "Scott, I just found out I'm getting divorced." Didn't even know me. He says, "Marcus, what's your wife's name? Who are your kids? I want to pray for you right now."
Mm-hmm.
This is why McBain is such a good district.
Amen.
This is why I am so proud to have served as a part of this administrative team. I want to thank Ryan. He has been such a good friend this year. I've gotten to know him. Becky, I already knew. The community, and I try to keep this secret, not something you want to advertise, but word got out, and the response was everything that you would hope that it was. So I know for my family right now, as a single dad, I need to be in a classroom where I've got more control. I told a friend of mine, I said, as an administrator, you're kind of at the mercy of other people's bad decisions. It's a good way of putting it. So if someone makes a bad decision, I might be here till 6 or 7 o'clock. I can't do that when I've got a 9-year-old son at home. So I made some tough choices. I want to thank Scott for his support this year, and all of you. I'll always be proud. I know it was only a year, but I'm really proud of what we accomplished together, and wanted to sincerely thank each of you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Well, I should have let you go last, I guess.
Can I get a witness?
I feel a little bit like following the preacher, just had a bunch of good things going on. Okay. Guys, we officially graduated 54 seniors. It was a fun time in the gym. We were able to run that out, and appreciate everybody's being there, and it's just really nice to see them grow. Again, it's a special group for me because it is the group that I've seen 4 years now. All 4 years grow up. We had a little bit of missing time with the COVID time and being out and about, but a very resilient bunch, and there's several of them that are highly motivated to move forward with the next level of education, which takes me into my senior honors night, and I put some numbers in there, just a rough estimate. So very thankful for our McBain Foundation and the people who serve on that board and the time that they put into planning. In perpetuity is the phrase that continues to be used when Mr. Aiken and I attend these meetings, and these people are forethinkers, and their money is invested, and they want to make sure that our kids get this money every year, and they're looking for ways to do more with what they have. And so as we continue to work with subcommittees there, We want to continue to thank them for their benevolent and the generosity just is overwhelming. So I want to thank those people and our donors for all that. Over 85,000 there from the foundation. Earl Viola Scholarship Fund, another $6,000 there, and then our CTC. Some of our top kids were at CTC this year, and they really took the cake in terms of area schools and the amount of time. If anybody was at our honors night, we took up a good 20 minutes, first 20 minutes of that honors night because of our CTC kids and the number of kids that were being recognized. So just very proud of them, proud of the 4 years that they've had here. So another fun thing I had on my board report was the sophomore carnival. We didn't have a sophomore advisor stepping up, and Heather Short stepped up to be that person with help from Jack Klunder, who's still in the community with his family, who used to be our sophomore advisor. Getting all the inflatables and things around is quite a headache, and so she was able to do that. And then Ann Reese and Becky Rodenbaugh for their assistance, and always willing to help out with everything else, especially with the food and things, so Heather could spend her time on the other pieces. So much appreciated. All the parents and guardians and sophomores that donated their time and materials. It raised about $6,100. Heather also wanted me to put in here that a couple of businesses donated quite a substantial amount of money so that all of that could go back into their fund. Again, the sophomore group, that money will go right into their fund for their class senior trip, hopefully, and other senior expenses, just to build on and make that more of a reduction in costs. So, thank you to everybody involved in that. I know the community enjoyed having that back this year. High school summer school started today. We had about 20 students who showed up, which is great. Many of them, I know Mrs. Bode is checked in with every one of them, made personal goals for what they wanted to do in the 2 weeks that we were going to have together. And last year, if you remember, we did it remotely, and that it was not as successful. So we're asking the students to come in person. And so we could have a touch point with them with an actual body. So I thank Ms. Bode for being that teacher, and Danny Utek and Andrew Podsett behind the scenes also helping as well. So looking to do that for the next couple of weeks here. We're going to welcome 80 freshmen in the fall from Mr. Mead's 8th grade class moving up, and we're excited to get to meet them and know them. So it's going to be nice. We'll have a few more kids in the high school. You graduate 54 and you bring in 80. It's a little different. So, and we do still have, I believe, our high school social studies posting up right now, and I know there's some action items about the reasoning behind that. So I'll let Mr. Acom fill you in on all of that later. So, any questions?
So if there was a senior that didn't make graduation, can they recover in this summer school program, or
Yeah,
not?
yeah, that did not happen this year. All 54 did that. They
Oh, I
completed
see,
what they
okay.
had to do.
But theoretically, they could utilize that, okay.
Yeah, in other schools and here, I think my first year here, I didn't even know the seniors. They came back, they stayed through summer school to achieve what they had. Then we just have to order them a new diploma with a new date.
Yeah, okay.
And they would still be on their way. Because many seniors, they're really only 1 or 2 classes maybe that stub their toe. And so we have teachers that stay and work with them, get them through. So.
Graduation was really good.
Thank you.
That was
It was
great.
really good.
Yep. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Wisner's sorting out baseball and softball for his
yeah.
kids. So,
Yeah, yes. Okay, moving on to action items. Action item A is to approve the Wexner-Missaukee ISD general budget. I think this was in the
yeah, it
report.
was in the board packet.
Motion.
Support?
With motion and support, is there any further discussion or questions for Scott?
I just like to make a comment, they're throwing some big money on vocational education, I think that's really good.
Yeah, we
They've
had
got like $1 million budgeted for, they've done their welding program, and so they're really tuning into that.
we had a superintendent's meeting today, and for next year, their enrollment is up 100 students than what it was this year.
Yeah.
They've split some programs, like the hospitality, and now they have an actual like culinary program and a hospitality program. They're looking to expand their welding program. They're delaying a year because of the cost of metal right now. But so next year they're gonna expand the welding program to 2 classes, which is a very popular course
Yeah.
to take.
It's just good to see
My son
them
loves it.
really pushing the trades.
Yeah.
That's where it's at today.
It's definitely where it's at.
I think I've kind of semi-posed this question before. There doesn't seem to be a lot of ag focus, and I mean, ag is where we're at as a community, but I never hear much that they do much with the ag. I mean, even as far as ag science or ag business, or
Yeah. They do
it
have,
makes me a little bit that they're not more focused on that sometimes.
they do have an ag program there.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. Ryan, do you remember what it's called? And they raise chickens and they raise.
Do they?
They do
Okay.
things with fish and.
We tend to forget some
Yeah.
of the stuff CTC does.
Yeah, that's probably,
Mhm.
just because it's so big in our area, it just
Right.
seemed like that.
One of the courses that Mr. Biller brought in this year was zoology in the high school, and that was pretty popular with the kids, yeah. As far as I know, that's not ag, but it is ag.
Yeah,
related, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item B, approve 2022-2023 MHSAA membership resolution. I'm assuming this is just,
Pretty standard.
Yeah,
Every
pretty standard.
annual, yeah.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we approve the membership application.
a motion, do we have support?
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item C is accept Olivia Hendershot resignation. She had a nice little letter in there, very genuine.
Motion.
Support.
Motion and support.
What position was she in?
Elementary parapro.
Oh, okay.
She hired in the middle of the year, late fall probably, and is relocating to Florida.
Did you know it's hot down there?
I think she's originally from there, isn't she? Yeah. She found out it was cold up
Some
here.
people want that.
Fall apart already.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item D is to approve return to in-person instruction and continuity of services plan.
So this is still the return to learn plan with COVID-19. It's our intent that we will continue on next year, the same as we did this year, barring any changes. We also have to go over the growth that our students displayed this year over the data. And did you want to start, Mr. Miller, since high school's pulled up? Or would you like me to?
It's easier for me to stand over here, make sure I got the same numbers as last time. All right, let me pull it up so I can. I got too many tabs open, guys, sorry. So I think the biggest piece, maybe I'll just go over here. Biggest thing is the end of the year testing here. And I believe this is in the right.
Sorry.
Mr. Mead, you're always a pro at this, want to make sure.
Yeah, the green, or the. I'm
Those-
sorry,
those are correct,
that's what I'm
right?
Looking for.
So the before end of the year, the end of the year pieces here, for our reading, we had 60% or 60.2% of our students who have met their goal, their projected growth goal. And then in math, 51.3%, and that's where we end. And you can see at the beginning of the year, again, we were talking about the percentages of students above 50%, right? So they're not the same thing. That was an incoming grade level. kind of assessment just to see where they were with the 50th percentile, which would be we always call it the midfield line in football or the half-court line in basketball. And if everybody generally runs along there, anybody over 50% would be over the average. But this is, in terms of growth, you can see, and this is a 0 here because of the factoring of, in the high school, we don't have grade level classes for math. We have math classes for credit. So we have freshmen who take sophomore level, the different classes, and they're all mixed with grade levels. So it's not going to pull through as a grade level like that. But our individual groups, and Becky, correct me if I'm wrong on this, because you work very closely with our math groups. They measured out and had growth. I believe it was 4 points, 2, 3 points, based on their individual courses with their students. And so I believe that figure is what they gave for that student goal. With reading, it is grade banded. We have 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade courses, so it's easier to.
So that's saying that, I don't know what that top line is, but reading was 46, but that's saying that 46 were at goal.
This way.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
The top line is all students, so I'm just giving you the overview. And then the subcategories are underneath each one of those. That's why the difference in the. But you're talking about at the beginning of the year. Are you talking about this right here?
Yeah.
That 46.
So you're saying that went from 46 to 60?
Yes.
Okay. And that's an all-student number?
That's an all student. Yeah. So the number tested would be right next to it
Okay.
for each one of those.
If you look at, I'm pretty impressed with the special education and English learners
Mm-hmm.
and how well they did on
Yeah,
that.
that's huge.
Those are big changes.
Mhm. Excellent.
Yeah. And I know that our English department looked at numbers a little bit differently, even more intently than they did. And I know Patty and Brian, Patty Hamlet and Brian Forstall would come in a half hour before school and always reconfigure what they need to do, change a little bit with maybe their curriculum components to make sure they're hitting on the most essential literacy pieces as reflected potentially in a NWA test, or they just looked at growth. We looked at students' growth and what would be the biggest bang for the buck, and trying to continue to look at that. We're optimistic here in July. I believe they get released for our SAT and those junior level classes that we would take. And so we're keeping our fingers crossed that we also see gains there as well.
So when you say that they achieved their grade level goal, is that grade level goal the same for everybody? It's
individual, correct? Yeah, see, that's the part I learned.
Okay.
It's individual by the student.
Okay.
Yeah. Because everybody comes in at different, right? It's like
Right.
a race, and they come in differently, and we want to make sure that every one of them grows towards,
Right.
100%. Obviously would be great, but
But are there grade level goals also? I mean,
There is a grade level goal, or
Okay.
a norm.
a normal.
They're really
Normal.
cagey about that, though.
Okay.
They don't ever want to say, like, this is grade level, so that's why we kind of look at that 50th percentile.
Okay.
Because that it's kind of a sliding scale nationally in terms of like what is third grade? Where should you be? So that's kind of where that 50th percentile
Yeah.
comes from.
All right, thanks, Mr. Miller. Mr. Mead?
Yeah, if you can change it for me. So I'd pretty much be repeating a lot of what Ryan said. We've got 3 very different classes with our middle school. Our all-stars academically are our 7th graders. They scored very high. They're a really strong class academically. 8th grade kids do pretty well, but we have a disproportionately high number of kids with interventions like special ed and 504 in that particular class. And then our 6th graders, and you have cohorts of kids coming through that have different skill levels. They tend to be lower than the other 2 classes. So, but as a whole, we're doing reasonably well. We've got about 48% of our kids who met their growth goals. That means they, again, grew approximately 1 year's worth. And the different grade levels fluctuate a little bit from there. But what I was really proud of is this, almost 61% of our kids were nailing their growth goals in math. which is really good. Nationally, kids seem to struggle with math more than reading. And so I'm really proud of our math teachers. And in this math curriculum, I had never heard of the CPM curriculum before I got a job at McBain. And I think it's a pretty good secret to keep because it's really producing good results for our district. So any more specific questions, or is that a pretty good overview? Ryan, you went first this time, so you covered most of what I would have said. Yeah.
Mrs. Rodenbaum?
Oh, yes. Mr. Wisner's detailed list here.
That's not fair.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to mess this up for you. So he just had a few highlights to point out. 61% for reading and 58% for math of our students scored at or above the 50th percentile. This is similar to the fall, meaning that our students maintained their proficiency and growth. Very proud of that. Wanted to note that our ELL students had 24% more at or above the 50th in reading and 7% more at or above the 50th in math. So their growth over the year, especially in reading, was really great. Very proud of our ELL program. Our Hispanic students, when we're just talking ethnicity, had 13% more score at or above the 50th percentile in reading. And not every Hispanic is an ELL, so there are some different students in there. Our male and female students performed similarly in reading and math, and that isn't always the case. Quite often we find females a little higher in reading and males a little higher in math, and we didn't find that, so that was interesting and good. And then he just wanted to point out, we didn't see the same overall growth in math like we did in reading. And the school improvement team in the elementary and the teachers are brainstorming why we had a dip in our data, given the extensive work that they put in math this year. That was really the focus in the elementary, and we even spent time with extra training through the ISD. And so really just we're looking at that data, digging in and trying to figure out kind of what happened and then how to attack it next year.
All right, thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion and support on that? I don't remember.
No, I don't think so.
We did
Make a
it.
motion.
Huh?
Support.
All right, motion and support. Any further discussion on action item D?
Just one thing, I mean, whatever. Are most of the English language learners, they're Hispanic, I'm assuming?
Yes, the majority are.
So I brought this up to legislators before, and they say, oh, they always leave in October. Ours don't. They stay. Is there, I mean, is there funding out there for that? I mean, we're spending.
We get a little amount from Title III, but then we still get our per pupil foundation allowance for that.
Okay.
The Title III amount is,
Right now it's projected at $4,300.
Per student or total?
Total.
We spend that in the first semester. Or
But we
first
get,
6
we
weeks,
get
right?
the per student, the base grade
Right.
for them.
Yeah.
And then this is an addition to that?
Because there's extra time invested in each child.
Yeah, it can be for resources and programming, it can be for
Yep.
people, and we do have 2 dedicated staff members to our ELL program. It certainly does not
Cover
cover
their.
what we need, but it's a help.
One of the piles I had here, 77, is that the number of,
We're down to just above 50 right now.
oh, okay.
we did have some families move and that had 4, 5 kids in the family. It adds up pretty quickly.
But we still are dominant in the ISD world, where we still have the majority of them.
Oh, yeah.
ISD is just hiring a ESL coordinator too, to work with us. So it'll be helpful. I think that's a part-time position.
Yeah, we're in consortium with Traverse City area schools. We're gonna share their consultant and she'll be available to us to help us with assessing and money, resources, programming, whatever we might need.
Yeah, I just applaud you for doing what you do with me.
Yeah.
'Cause it's-
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item E is to approve June 27, 2022 special meeting for budget.
So moved.
Support.
Motion support. Any further questions or comments?
Is it at 6?
Yes,
Okay.
6 o'clock it is.
I didn't know. That's why I put it in my calendar, so I'm just making sure.
Good point. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item F is to accept Ben Niemeyer resignation.
So Mr. Niemeyer we hired this past year, did PE and JV boys basketball. His end goal is to get closer to home, and he just was offered a position closer to home. So he's moving downstate to be closer to his family. This is the position we have posted for social studies. As you remember, we were a little PE heavy this past year as far as certifications, but social studies and hopefully English, where we'll be able to alleviate some of the shared staffing with the middle school.
Who's gonna be doing more PE?
Mr. Kors, and then Mr. Murphy would go back to doing the freshman focus and health classes,
Okay.
which he's certified for.
Heard really good things about him.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I heard good
It's
things
unfortunate.
as far as the JV coach,
Yeah, kids really enjoyed him. They're gonna miss him.
and I suppose that's something we gotta look at now too, is JV coaching.
It's posted, I believe.
I will say Ben struggled with this decision. He really likes McBain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He mentioned lots of people who are he's still in his first 4 years of teaching. So many people here have touched him and been able to contribute to his learning. He said several times he could pick up McBain and move it closer to where he could.
And he came from Houghton Lake, right?
No, he came, or teaching, yes.
Came
correct.
from Houghton Lake, yeah.
He's originally from the Holland area.
Yep.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Motion and support to accept Ben's resignation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item G is to approve state aid note resolution.
That's a pretty standard resolution from Troon there
Okay.
regarding our state aid.
Motion.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion on this?
Scott, who is this? Who did we borrow from?
It's usually one or the other. I can't remember the names of them, yeah.
But they're
There's
larger
like two
funds,
larger
okay.
lenders, yeah.
Do we ever look at borrowing locally? Have we ever?
I believe that, I couldn't answer that for McBain. I know when we've looked in the past, the interest rate's usually higher.
Are they? No, and historically, we always kept the business locally with a local bank, and at that time, they would get significant tax credits and stuff for lending to institutions, and I don't know if that's changed, but, you know, it's always good to do business locally too.
Absolutely.
Certainly wouldn't hurt to ask a question.
Except I don't think any of our banks are local anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Just an observation, you know, it's always good to.
Motion and support. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item H is to approve the hire recommendation of Cole Ingerite.
Yeah, so this would be for our tech deck position, that was formerly Zeke's. Cole's been an intern for us through the ISD for the last 2-3 months. Done an excellent job. He's really stepped in and gone the extra mile, and you need something, he's right there, and you see him running down the hall sometimes to help, and he's finishing up his 13th year, so he'll have his associate's degree. And obviously graduated this year, but we're excited to have Cole. He's done an excellent job for us.
That'd be full-time.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Motion support to hire Cole Engelwright for our tech deck department. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations to him. Action item I,
First job at high school. It's a good first job at high school.
discussion
Dylan's first job.
ESER 3 update plans for meeting the needs of students.
Yeah, so this is basically that we're still planning to use the ESSER 3 funds, as we had planned through the survey, by supporting students academically, emotionally, and providing extra services for them for the learning loss, that our plan hasn't changed for ESSER 3.
Make a motion.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any more questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Action item J is, I guess, more of a discussion than really an action item.
Yep, and it was, you want to read it? I can talk about, sorry.
Discussion about live streaming and recording of board meetings is what we started when we had to go remote. And
Yeah, and when Kevin and I talked, we talked about just making sure that we announced it at this meeting, that we'll discuss it at the July board meeting, to give you guys time to get feedback and to hear from the community and what they would like, so we didn't want to just make a decision without that. So we'll plan on discussing that at the July board meeting, and if we're going to continue or not.
okay.
Is it a burden to continue doing it? I mean, or
This is probably a much easier setup than in the auditorium. With the auditorium, you've got two tech guys there. And also, setting up the stage and setting up the tables and moving stuff. That's the how do you say it? Laborious part.
So did I understand that we're the only one that's doing it in the ISD anymore?
From my understanding, yes.
Okay, we will revisit that in a month. Action item K, approve the 2022-2023 school calendar change. I believe this is what Becky brought up here a month ago.
So I did not mark the change because Good Friday.
Oh, I was like, we changed it?
We did not mark the change because we also had discussed half day or whole day. So when we decide what you want to do, we can change the motion to, taking Good Friday as a half day or a full day. So if you decided to take, and this was, I just want to reiterate again, this was just gone off of past calendars when Aaron and I worked on it and went off of that. And I think a lot of it too was in regards to spring break. So you have the last week of March off, and sometimes that encompassed, spring break used to have Good Friday in it. And the testing window came out, and people were coming right back from spring break and having the test, and it wasn't the most ideal testing situation.
Right.
So Good Friday is Friday, April 7th.
Okay.
If we did decide to take a whole day, we would push the last day of school back to Friday, June 2nd, and that would be a half day. If you decided to keep it as or if you decided you wanted to do a half day, the last day of school would remain June 1st. I can tell you, when the superintendent's meeting today, most of the districts have the whole day off and are using it as a make-up snow day if needed.
That's what I wondered. I think that's the best way to do it.
Rather than adjusting their calendar then? Or
So maybe
rather than
not adding
adjusting
days
their-
into June.
Rather than adding or changing the school
Right.
ending day?
We did that a few years ago, and we had so many snow days. I think we had 18 or 19, it seemed like, and we started using that as a makeup day.
I like having the whole day off.
Yeah, I think
personally.
sometimes those half days are harder for daycare and different things like
But
that.
they're hard.
And I know this year, I believe Little Blessings was closed on Good Friday completely, so I think that was a daycare concern as well. I would definitely a whole day off, but with the understanding that if we do have 14 snow days like we did, that we may look at it again for a half a day, just to not push the end of the school year into the middle of June type of thing.
If we use it, you can use just half a day, will that get that day, or you gotta do the whole day?
You can use half a day.
Half a day,
You just have to watch your clock hours,
yep.
and we would be okay if it was a half a day for clock hours.
But ending on June 1, I mean, that's early.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I like
I
a
don't
whole
think
day
it'd
and
be a
end
big
on
deal
June
to go a
too.
day more either. I mean, it's still early in June,
Was that a motion?
considered in most calendars.
It's just my very vocal thought.
I don't know unless you make a motion.
I'll make a motion then. I would make a motion that we have Good Friday completely off on April 7th and extend the school year to June 2nd with the idea that if we have a lot of snow days that we would potentially do a half a day on April 7th instead.
Supported.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Again, just to reiterate what the motion is to take Friday, April 7, Good Friday, take the entire day off and push back the last day of school to Friday, June 2nd, which would be a half a day. With potentially, if we had a lot of snow days, we could use Good Friday for a half a day to alleviate one of those.
And I think
Still
then,
gives people a half a day.
yeah, and I think May 31st then, correct me if I'm wrong, would become a full
Full
day.
day, yep.
Okay.
Well, so if we pushed back to a half day on the 2nd, then would the first become a full day?
No, the 31st would.
What would the first?
First would still be an exam day, half day.
Okay, okay.
First
Yeah,
and
so
second.
May 31 would be pushed back to a full day.
Correct.
Because it was 31st and 1st were
Right.
half days.
Okay.
Okay.
Clear as mud.
We'll get it ready.
We'll
for
get it
you.
right.
All right, there has been a motion on the table and there has been supported. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Becky's motion passes.
Way to go,
Got
Becky.
named after you.
Wow. That's awesome.
Okay, moving on to action item L, accept Garrett Hill hire recommendation.
Yep, so this would be for a full-time custodian position, that was, the person resigned from. Garrick lives right in town here, lives close to the school, and received very good recommendations from some local
Do you got
community
experience?
members. He's been working for Hamburg Fence
Oh.
Company,
Yep.
and he's done a lot of different, I believe welding and maybe some HVAC stuff as well.
Oh, that's excellent.
So,
Maybe a little handyman.
That's great.
so
It's good skills.
yeah, so we're excited to offer him the position.
Motion.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion support to hire Garrett Hill for our custodian position. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations to him. Action item M is to go into closed session for superintendent's evaluation and contract negotiations.
Make a motion that we move into closed session?
Port.
Motion support, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are officially
Oh, he just turned it off.
Turn it
So
off
Scott,
or
what's
turn
your,
it
what's your
on.
general comment at this point in the game?
Hold on. Is it off?
What do you
I
mean?
mean, just overall, everything.
Oh, I enjoy it.
How do you rate us?
I think there's a lot of potential here. McBain's doing very well already, but I think there's a lot of potential we can take him further,
Yeah,
for sure, once we have,
Oh, he says we're on.
okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to come out of closed session?
so moved.
Support?
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are officially out of closed session at 8:24. Action item N, approve teacher contract as presented, as tentatively agreed upon.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support for the teacher's contract as it's tentatively agreed upon. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item O is to approve support staff contract as presented and tentatively agreed upon.
Motion. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes.
Abstain from that one.
Okay, Matt abstained, so 6-0, I guess, is the official count. Action item P, approve superintendent evaluation results. Matt has some highlights of that he was going to share.
All right, Section A, governance and board relations. So under, or for policy involvement, rating of 4, highly effective. Goal development, rating of 3, effective. Information, 3.5. Materials and background, 4. Board questions, 4. Board development, 3. Section B, community relations. For parent feedback, rating of 3.5. Communication with community, rating of 4. Community feedback, 4. Media relations, 3. District image, 4. Let me jump back. So the total of section A was a 3.6 rating. Total of section B is 3.75 rating. Section C, staff relations. Under staff feedback, a rating of 4. Staff communications, rating of 4. Personnel matters, 3.5. Delegation of duties, rating of 4. Recruitment is 4. Labor relations or bargaining, rating of 4. Visibility in district, rating of 4. For a total in this category of 3.93. It's highly effective. Under business and finance, board development and management, 4. Budget reports, 3. Financial controls, 3. Facility management, 3. Resource allocation, 4. Category rating, total 3.4. instructional leadership. The performance evaluation system, 4, highly effective. Building level leadership, 4. Staff development, 4. School improvement, 3. Curriculum, give a rating of 4. Instruction, rating of 4. And student feedback, 4. Under student attendance, rating of 3. Support for students, 4. And professional knowledge is 4. The category total rating is 3.8. And did I get them all? Well, this one's like, we should talk about this one first, maybe. So, under student growth, we give a rating of 3. And under progress toward the district-wide goals, we give a rating of 4. And we applied all of the required percentages or weights to each category. Mr. Akeham's total score at the end of the evaluation was 3.7, which equals a 92%, which is
Really effective.
say that again. Oh, I'm sorry.
86.
I went to the wrong one, I'm sorry. That was the 92% for the previous section. When you applied student growth and progress toward district-wide goals, the total score was 3.4 for 86%, which was
Effective.
effective. So,
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Scott.
So do we gotta have a motion to approve
I'll make a
that?
motion to approve the superintendent's evaluation.
Okay. We have a motion and support to approve the superintendent's evaluation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item Q is to approve Bruce Coltman's contract for this upcoming 2022-2023 school year.
Motion.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on his contract?
We had this position posted for several months. No applicants, qualified applicants. Mr. Copeman has agreed to come back and teach for another year. And he'll be teaching 4 sections of industrial arts a day.
Perfect.
Okay,
It's a good thing.
Yep, awesome.
It's a tough position.
yeah.
So, do other schools offer this? I know Lake City does. They usually have a strong program.
Yeah, you're getting few and far between.
Yeah, I'm since that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's a good real life
Do some beautiful things.
program.
Good skills to learn.
Okay, we have motion support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment? Seeing none? Board round table? What do you think, Beck?
I wanna go home.
I'm brain dead.
How do you really feel?
May I add one thing?
Yes.
Before
Yes.
Becky goes home. I put it in your packets, but just wanted to touch base on the school of choice. We've kind of gone over the school of choice numbers, and we will have limited school of choice this year to keep down on staffing, but as well as space. We'll keep kindergarten unlimited, but then the grade levels beyond that, we'll have limited spots on that. So how that works is we'll have an application period in August. People apply to be in school of choice. If we have more than the allotted slots, it goes to students that have siblings already enrolled here, or it goes to a random draw after that.
Okay.
So we have unlimited kindergarten. Okay. And that's 85 projected according to this. Okay.
And that's a little high projection of what we think,
Okay.
of
So
where we're at right now.
going on down there, like first grade, it says school choice openings 12.
Mhm.
We'll have 12 openings for that grade level.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Then you'll see 5 for second grade, third grade 0 because we're already at 90
Yeah.
students, which that's a lot.
So what we're saying there, just so I understand, we're saying that we can take 12 at first grade without adding additional
Correct.
sections or whatever.
Correct, and we have the room for them, yes.
Okay. And that really, I think, is what schools of choice is supposed to be about.
I would agree.
Anybody else? Hearing none, will I have a motion to adjourn? Support.
Support, I'll support his motion.
Motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We're adjourned at 8:34.
Yes, sir.